So my ex broke up with me the night before we were supposed to leave for Florida for one of his high school friends' weddings. Now, that being said, that means that he broke up with me less than 24 hours before he left for a long weekend, which was a mistake. All of my friends and family very much wanted to destroy things that he owned. I did not feel like that was the correct course of action. However, I did decide to pack up everything he owned into 31 small-sized boxes from Home Depot. That, and I mixed up everything in those boxes. Kitchen was in with office, with clothes. I split up every pair of socks and every pair of shoes he owned and put them in separate boxes.
Evil.
I also labeled nothing. I then packed them all in front of the apartment and said, you can come pick up your boxes when you're ready. Don't leave after breaking up with someone. It's cowardly, and you deserve what you got.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah. Plus, realistically, what do you expect her to do? The fact that she's even putting them in boxes for you is a nice thing to do. She's doing you a favor. Organizing? You lost your organization privileges. You have retained up your life privileges. My psychologist told me my petty revenge was the textbook perfect way to cut off a narcissist. My ex is a classic narcissist in disguise. It took him 3 years of pretending to be normal before he let the mask slip. Once he was bored and realized he couldn't easily manipulate me, and it got very nasty very fast. I won't get into all the terrible things he did or said. It's been said before by countless women out there, and it's not worth rethinking it when the rest of this story is much more fun. There were a few little petty things in the immediate aftermath, such as going home an hour into my workday to empty out the house of everything I had ever paid for, which was 90% of our stuff. I'd found out that he hadn't been paying my health insurance for 3 months, which had triggered a realization that it was probably no longer safe for me to live with him while we sorted out logistics as originally planned. So that day of sweat and rage packing had him left dumbfounded and scrambling, because an empty home that is empty save for a sofa is dust and not a good look to prospective dates. But the best fun came about 2 months after that. I had suspected that he had cheated in the past, but not at the time it ended. It was 2 months post-breakup, and we were being somewhat amicable, as I was awaiting him to repair some damage in our rental house, so the real estate agent would release me from the freshly renewed lease. He had moved in with a new woman 5 weeks after we split. Not a surprise to me. The man needs to be fawned over to survive. I'd had some further petty fun when I had threatened to move back in when he had slipped on keeping up the rent payments. He didn't want to give up the beautiful house and agreed to pay it all. I had just paid the equivalent of notice. But overall, we stayed friendly for his daughter, and I had feigned some empathy when he lost his job unexpectedly. Then, out of the blue, I got a Facebook message from a person whose name I knew. Let's call her Belle for reasons that will be clear. But I'd never met her. She was his co-worker out of state. He was 40 at the time and she was 22. And her message was basically a flood of information and apologies for having an affair with him and breaking us up. Did she break you guys up? I thought that you were just done. He had been schmexting her across state lines and even faked a work trip and paid for flights to go and meow her. Despite me paying bills for his car and child because he was broke. Oh, the audacity of this man. The gist of Belle's message was that he made her fall for him. She ended her 4-year relationship to be with him. Then he stole money from his work, dumped her, and got them both fired by implicating her in the Oh my God. Then he had, of course, moved in with a whole different woman 2 weeks later. An absolute mess of a man, this one. Like, obviously, everyone's like, how could you be with a narcissist? They have two sides to them. I told Belle she didn't owe me anything, and she needed to worry more for herself and maybe her ex if she thought that was something to repair. I basically told her, you're young. Just learn from this, and one day it will all be just a fuzzy memory. I then told her I wanted only one thing from her: information. I asked, at what date did your communication with him switch from friends to more? Belle's answer confirmed what I knew. This trifling man cannot end something without securing his next move, and his next schmexually charged dopamine hit. It started up with a text fest with her 2 days after we had signed a refresh on our lease for 12 more months. He had attempted to trap me into funding the rent, and when he couldn't, with every plan to break up with me. It was classic calculated and evidenced financial abuse, especially when you add on failing to pay the health insurance of a partner with chronic illness who is sending you money each month to pay for it. I went from amicable to red haze fury at that moment and began plotting some very quick moves to ensure I never had to speak to the man again. I thanked Belle for the info and further encouraged her to move on with her life. See, this is the good thing about moving in the shadows, right? Because when you move in the shadows, you can accurately kind of figure out what your next move should be. Before this, you were kind of amicable and fine, but after knowing this, probably benefits you to know that he's doing this. Keep your cool, friends. Move in the shadows, always. I then contacted the real estate agent and told them I was giving them 3 days to inspect the damage repairs and sign off the lease change. They'd been dragging their feet. Or I would go to my psychologist and get the paperwork to be removed anyway under fairly new domestic laws, citing financial only, of course, I wasn't out to make up lies. The real estate leapt into action the next day. Oh, I love it. I love it. See, because you're watching the laws and what you can legally, you're doing your homework. You're understanding what you can legally do and what you cannot do. God, I love knowing a law that someone else doesn't. It's just, knowledge really is power. Because I love being right. I guess paperwork and seeking legal advice on new legislation is never worth it for agencies like this. I'm not sure what they told him to get him to agree to the inspection the next day, and I was shopping for groceries when they emailed to say I was officially off the lease. I literally put my half-full grocery basket down and left the store, drove home, and went into action. I wiped him off every social media channel. Block, delete, block, delete. I even tackled the ones you don't think of, like LinkedIn and my unused Tumblr. Everything blocked except his phone number. I then messaged all my friends to tell them we were no longer amicable. He was a liar, a cheat, and while I wasn't going to tell them who to keep as a friend on social media, I would appreciate it if they never breathed my name in his presence, let alone responded to any queries he might have about me ever again. They were great about it, by the way. With going low contact or no contact, ideally, even just hearing about them or them fishing for information about you, they're still kind of feeding off of it, right? They're still kind of affecting you. They're affecting your energy. If you're going no contact, that means no contact. No more asking about them. No more looking at them on social media. I don't even want to hear their name come up in conversation, ever. I literally don't want to know. I then went to the local post office and sent him a single package with 2 items in it. 1, the necklace he bought me for Christmas. Good, very good, because he could have tried to get that back legally. So it was super obvious I had sent the package. And 2, a single Lego minifig of Belle from Beauty and the Beast that I had ordered express from eBay on the day I found out about his little affair. That tiny doll was a simple message portrayed without a word. I know about Belle. I know how you lost your job, and if you so much as utter a word in my direction, I will tell everyone, including your long-suffering parents, that your employer sacked you for $5,000 of not whatever dumb excuse you gave them. Ooh, that's good, because you're attacking their reputation. They're all about appearances. So when you threaten their facade, that's how you get them. I love it. I knew that the subtle knowledge that I could tell his parents would sting the most. His dad is the only person on the planet he respects, which I know because he's the only person of any gender who was never the subject of my ex's constant, prolific mansplaining. I received one text message from him the day he received the package. It said, "Your stuff is in your letterbox." Ooh, he does as he's told. That's good. He'd returned both items, which I tossed in the trash on my way back into the house, grinning from ear to ear. Oh, I thought he returned your things. Oh no, he returned the little gift you got him. His acknowledgement of it meant that I had got to him and that he had been dumb enough to show it. It was a cherry on top I didn't even expect, and I walked right into the house to celebrate over with my new roommate. My ex hasn't spoken a single word to me in the 5 years since. I know it kills him that he would have to jump through hoops to keep track of me these days. And whilst he might tell future victims I'm crazy, my complete lack of presence or interest in his life makes that a lie hard to maintain. My psychologist told me I had handled him in a textbook perfect way for cutting off a narcissist, and she was super proud of me. I was proud of me too, and it's been fun to finally tell my story. Note, I left out a lot of things and changed some details to keep this as private as possible, because the woman he moved straight straight in with is by all accounts lovely and eventually escaped with her own trauma, I'm sure. I only found this out through mutuals as I blocked her right along with him for my own sanity. Girl, if you see this, I never hated you. I moved on from him so fast, I only feared what would happen to you. I hope you're doing great. I also developed a friendship with a couple of his exes who were total saints in helping me through it, and his daughter has stayed in touch. She's grown up so wonderful. Note 2, my life is infinitely better now, and the shift started within days of our split. Says a lot, doesn't it? It does. And you know why? It's because you gotta picture narcissists as like a succubus, a leech that's just on you, feeding off of you, feeding off of your energy. And it's not even just narcissists. It can also just be people in your life that are draining. When you're giving all of your precious energy, your creative energy, your love, your whatever good energy that you have to give, it's amazing how fast things will shift when you cut off that parasite. Less than 1 month after the breakup, I got a job and doubled my salary. Oh, the effects of which my ex's jealous, unemployed eyes got to see in real time in the weeks before I cut him off. I moved to a whole new city 6 months later, and I've been with my current amazing man for nearly 3 years. He treats me like a princess. I'm so happy for you. God, I love this for you. This story is so underrated, but I appreciated every moment. Thank you for sharing.